Motown.
Motown.
Detroit.
Detroit, baby.
We have a very
Versus
special
everybody.
relationship with Detroit here in Philadelphia
Indeed.
and all over the world because some of the music that has come out of the city of Detroit has been incredible. And this next gentleman is representing for the city of Detroit in this day and age. Like the music of the past from Motown, he represents for the soul generation of right now. You've heard him in lots of music, some that you may know, some that you may not know, and we're going to talk about it all tonight.
Yes,
But
indeed.
ladies and gentlemen, we are very excited to have one of soul music's finest artists in the building.
Indeed.
He goes by the name of Dwele.
Give it up.
Give it up. Yes, sir.
Have a seat, my friend.
Come on, sit down, my Detroit brother.
What's happening?
How you doing?
I'm good.
How
I'm
you
good.
moving
The
in
ladies
there?
are screaming, Dwele.
What's happening, Philly? Yeah.
Before we get started, I'd just like to say hello to your frames, to your eyeglasses. Hello, eyeglasses.
What's happening, eyeglasses?
Hey! I always enjoy what you do with your eyewear, man. It's an inspiration always, but welcome nonetheless. So happy to have you here. Fatine talked about Detroit. I think there's not one person that listens to black music that does not understand the importance of the city that you're from. And I know that on many, many reasons. We talked about you being a soul artist, but I think that people don't understand that really your name means something in many different genres, primarily and first and foremost to a degree in hip hop. So just tell us about the early years for Dwele. What were those times like? How did Detroit raise you musically?
Man, how far are we trying to go back? How much time we got?
Do you?
Oh, man, okay. Let's see. I'm not going to go back too far. I started off, when I got into music, I was really just about completing the song, whether that meant putting a horn line on it, whether it meant, dropping poetry over it, singing or rapping, you know what I'm saying? So I tried to do a little bit of everything to complete my thought, whatever that thought was. I think growing up, being in high school, a lot of my friends were into hip hop. They were hip hop artists, so that's what I did, of course. So that's kind of how it started.
So you were a rapper first.
I was definitely a rapper first. If 2019 Dwele could go back and talk to 1994 Dwele and be like, yo, you're going to be a singer, I would have laughed, I definitely would have laughed, but it's just funny how things happen, man. It turns out when I put out my first album, the Rise album, it had both hip-hop and, vocal joints on it, but they took the vocal songs and actually pushed it to the labels. So they took me as a singer, and that's how it kind of got started.
And in that first particular, project that you did, and I love this story because I feel like you had this somewhat in common with Kwame. He was here, and he talked about being a young teenager, making his own record and doing it independently first, and basically selling it out of his own trunk. And that kind of hustle is a lot for a young person. What inspired you to say, I'm just going to take this thing into my own hands and do my own record?
That's all I had at that point, over the years, people saw my struggle. They saw that I was into music, so, somebody would lend me a mixer here, a tape deck here, and I just kind of built my studio that way. So it got to a point where I had everything that I needed to actually put together my own project. All I had to do was send it off. It was cassettes back in the day. I sent it off, got 100 cassettes pressed
Straight
up.
mixtapes.
Yeah. They came back. I didn't like the way they sounded. It was too much hiss in the cassette tape. So what I did was I took every cassette, and what you have to do, like put paper in the joint. I put paper in the joints, you know what I'm saying, and like re-record it over every single cassette while I slept. Listen, while I slept. And when I heard the click, I'd wake up and turn it over and keep going. Like I was burning it. Yeah, I was burning it straight from like the DAT or whatever I had.
Oh, my God.
And I did every tape like that and then just sold them, and got rid of them. I sold them all in a week. I was bootleg platinum. I was happy. Couldn't tell me nothing.
Bootleg platinum. We love that.
I mean, being an independent artist these days for young folks looks totally different than that. But I mean, do you see anything in that grind that a young person trying to do that now could get from that moment that they could incorporate?
It's very different now. It's very different now. I feel like right now we're living in a world where everybody's an artist and nobody's a listener. You know what I'm saying? So that changes the game. It changes the game. So right now, I think the best thing I could tell like the youth, man, is to find out what, I would say find out what sets you apart and accentuate that, but it's almost like it pays more to be like the next guy, you know? So I don't know. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard. You know?
I want to go to something a little touchy because Ed OG, who was just out here, had said also that he had a similar experience, which is that his father was murdered when he was 7 years old. As far as I understand, your father was murdered when you were 10 years old. How did that change the trajectory of your life overall? Like, you know, like, tell me a little bit about that and going back to that and how you ended up on the plane of music and, you know, how music took over after that.
Yeah, that was a hard time, you know, for my whole family, for myself, for my mother. Being a father now, I can't imagine, you know, what she went through, looking at her children, like, what am I going to do? You know, how am I going to correct this? You know, and I remember being young and like going through a phase for some years, man, where I was just quiet. I didn't know how to express myself. I kind of kept my emotions bottled up, you know, and before my father passed, he kind of put me on to music. He used to play drums and organ in the church. So he bought me a little organ, taught me a few chords, you know, and after a while, I just found a way. I felt like that was a way to keep a part of him with me by continuing on in music. And after a while, it kind of became my voice. Music was my voice. You know, even if there wasn't any lyrics on it, I could get my emotion, whatever I was feeling out, through a chord or, you know, through a beat, you know, and it just became my voice. It became my medicine, you know, and it put me on that path. That's how it happened.
So much of the sound that we became familiar with as a generation that came out of Detroit was, I don't want to say it was orchestrated, came from the mind of one of yourself included, but from the genius producer J Dilla. And you had a very important working relationship with him that produced some of the most memorable music from that time and absolutely modern classics. Can you tell us about your first meetings with him and how you guys became partners, friends?
My first time meeting J Dilla, first of all, I found out about, well, I had always known about him. I never knew his name. But like looking back, once I found out who he was, I was like, man, I got like every one of his cassettes. You know, I got all his joints. Yeah. So I met Baten T3 first. You know,
Slum Village?
Yeah, Slum Village. And you know, they kind of got at me like, yo, JD he wants to meet you. And I was like, man, okay. You know, I'm young, bro. I'm not even really fully into this music thing, you know. But he had heard a couple joints and he was like, yeah, he wants to meet you. So he came through. He used to have this, I think it was a Lexus truck. And this is the first time I'd ever jumped in a Lexus truck, man. And I was just starstruck. Like, this is that guy, you know? And Dilla had like a stutter, but he made it cool, you know what I'm saying? He was like, yo, what's good, bro? That's what, yeah. You know, and it's like.
Just like he rapped.
Yeah. In the whole conversation, we was riding, you know, he was playing new joints, telling me like the backstory to like, you know, some of my favorite songs or whatever. But the whole conversation went like that, man. It was hilarious, you know. But then, you know, he just dropped me back at the crib, back at my mom's. And I was like, man, that really happened. Felt like a dream, you know. Then from there, you know, we got a chance to work. If I ever had a question about, you know, the MP or sequencing, you know, he was always on the phone, you know, would give me a little something extra, you know, to work with. So he was a good guy, man. He was definitely a good guy. And I just got to say, I've never in my life seen anybody go into the studio, into the vocal booth, sing and smoke weed at the same time. Until I met Dilla.
We are gifted people.
Oh, my goodness.
Kanye West, you also have collaborated with. And I want to know your thoughts on his present journey and working with him and memories of working with him. Flashing lights. You guys remember flashing lights? Yeah.
Yeah, flashlight. That song won't go away either, man. It keeps popping up.
It's a banger.
Man,
I dug that song.
yeah.
I mean, we were riding in the car with my son, and I want you to answer this, obviously. And but we were riding in the car with my son, and he's like obsessed with the old Kanye.
Yeah.
But you know, musically, he's been super consistent throughout this whole time. I mean, you know, everybody has a few duds, but he is probably one of the most consistent and creative.
Yeah.
You know, across the board. So,
Yeah.
did you walk away with anything particularly musically from those experiences with him?
Yeah, I have to say, in working with Kanye, when we did that Flashing Lights song, I went to New York, went to the studio, and I got there before Ye showed up.
Yeah.
So it was just me and the engineer, and he was like, "Well, you know, we waiting for Ye, but I got the song pulled up." I was like, "All right, cool." And Kanye had already, you know, pinned out, you know, what he wanted me to say. You know, so we had like he's singing now. So imagine that, Kanye singing the hook.
Right.
It was there, you know. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I go in and cut it now, you know, and it'll be ready when it gets there. He's like, cool. So we cut it. You know, I put all these harmonies, you know, and I did my Dwele thing, you know what I'm saying? Harmonies all over the place, stacks. And Ye came in, you know, we spoke for a minute, and I was like, it's done. He's like, all right, let's listen to it. So we pressed play. He's like, cool. He was rocking to it, like, yeah, that's cool. And then when it was over, he was like, yeah, that's cool, but I'm trying to rock stadiums with it. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, you know what I'm saying, quite yet.
He wanted it minimal.
Yeah, he was like, take all the harmonies out, just leave the one track. Just leave the one vocal. And he played it back, and he's like, that's it. And that was it. And so I came out of that situation learning that sometimes less is more. Yeah.
And particularly for
That's a great story,
yes,
D.
indeed. Particularly for artists that come from the soul genre, you know, this is how we're taught. We're taught to be lush, to have all of that, those elements. As you moved on musically, you're talking about two majors, you know, that you worked with in your past. As you're currently making music and doing what you do, what is the kind of next step in terms of like musically what you're doing? Do you see your past reflected in how you're moving towards in the future?
Yeah, I do. You know, it's always weird. I am currently like working on a new album, y'all. I'm working on the album. But it's always difficult to know how that album is going to turn out. You know, because I don't go into it with anything predetermined. You know, I just kind of make songs. Yeah. And then from those songs, I put the puzzle pieces together, you know, and fill in whatever's not there until it's a full picture. Yeah. You know, so I kind of let it write itself.
I want to ask you, family man and father Dwele, how is that inspiring the music and the person as a whole now? Because, you know, we know you have a kid, and
Yeah.
the lady and all that now.
Yeah, it gives me something different to talk about, man. It's hard to, I don't have any time for me anymore, you know. It used to be I had all day to make a song, and now it's like,
3 hours.
yeah.
Hey, what was that?
It's probably my kid. Now
That's good, boy. That's good.
Now I got between, you know, this time and this time. After that, he's like, Daddy, I want to come make a song, you know, so it's kind of hard to, you know, but it's good. It's good to have somebody there. It kind of forces me to keep working. I want him to see me working, you know.
Your son is adorable. He's actually kind of become a bit of an internet celebrity himself. He has like a whole fan club, this young man. He's adorable. I think it's just great to see us all, you know, Fatia and I always had kids. Y'all don't even know what we looked like when we didn't have no damn kids. But it's beautiful to see everybody move forward and try all of these new things. How has your relationship with your son, I would say, just influenced you professionally and how you move through the world? You know what I mean? You're saying making music, obviously you only have different kind of time schedule, which we totally understand. But you know, how you present and how you move through the world, how the mark that you want to make.
I feel like I've always tried to be somewhat positive, you know. I feel like I always, most of my songs, but most of my songs, I try to approach them like I already had a kid. You know, if my kid listens to this, you know, 5, 10, 15 years from now, it'll be okay. You know, I said some of my, I said some.
Somebody got to remind you.
The boy had to get here some kind of damn way.
Man, I'm gonna just move on.
Everybody got to be nasty for somebody.
Hey,
Let me ask you this. What's happening in the Detroit music scene currently? What might be bubbling under the surface that we should be checking for coming soon?
It's a lot. It's a lot coming out of Detroit, man. One young lady that I will speak on, her name is Charity.
Charity,
Oh, y'all
that's
know
my
about
girl.
Charity?
Of course
We've
we
known
know
her for some
Charity,
years.
man.
She's
We got
amazing.
to get her here.
Okay.
I want her here tonight with you. But
Yeah.
we're gonna work it out.
Yeah,
Charity.
Yeah, she's making moves, man. I've noticed that she was like young. You know, my mother used to teach at the school that she went to. Yeah. And I remember they called me into the principal's office. I was like, I ain't had this in a minute, you know, but I went to the principal's office. They called her in with a guitar, and I'm like, what is this? This little girl with a guitar. And she opened her mouth, and I was like, oh, she's going to be something. Yeah, fast forward, she's doing her thing, and I think it's about to pop for her, for real.
And everybody knows you as now, everybody knows you as a singer. Now they know that you used to be a rapper. But in following you, I saw that you're a bit of a carpenter. Tell us about some of your hobbies, some things that people don't know about Dwele.
We ain't got nothing coming out on HGTV soon, do we?
I think you should, though. He's made some beautiful pieces, but go on in.
I try to, man, don't give me the
Furniture?
topic. Yeah, man. Furniture. I made a console. Somebody was telling me that was me nesting. Is that what it's called when you about to have a
Nesting?
baby?
Waiting for the baby to come. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
I've always wanted a console.
Crafts.
Yeah, always wanted a console, but I couldn't really afford one, you know?
A recording console?
Yeah. So I made my own. And it turned out pretty dope. It looked like
it's a
Star Trek or something.
Shit.
It's
I mean, there's money in that.
Yeah. I had a few people ask me for one, but it took way too long. Nah.
You got to hire somebody to
One and done.
You put the idea together, then you hire somebody. They even put it together.
You know, many of us came out at a time when neo soul really was, you know, the popular kind of new thing, and since then it has, you know, taken on a status of, you know, music that comes along with catalog. You know, many of us get played on the same radio stations of the music that we grew up on. So you might hear Patti LaBelle, and then you might hear Dwele, and then you might hear Stevie Wonder, and then you might hear Kindred, the Family Soul. And then at the time, there was just a lot of controversy, I think, about us even wanting to take on the title neo soul. It felt trite to some folks. And now that we've gotten older and that we've moved on into a different stage of our work, you know, how do you feel about a different era of our work? How do you feel about how soul music has evolved and what is happening with the artists that are now really taking the baton that we helped to pull along?
I think it's beautiful, man. I think, you know, with every new generation of music, there's always the people before the new people that's like, why y'all doing that? This ain't real music, you know what I'm saying? And I try not to be that guy. I try to know that at some point, old heads felt that same way about what we were doing, you know? So I kind of keep that in mind, you know, and I really love like where it's going. You still have those artists that are keeping, you know, the music in music, and I appreciate that, you know.
Give me a couple of those artists. We asked about the artists from Detroit, and you mentioned Charity, of course, but what are you listening to as of recent that is fresh, that you think is dope?
Man, I got so many. Who do I pick? You up on Hiatus Coyote?
Yes.
Yeah. If you know about it, you know about it. If you don't know about it, find out about it. Hiatus Coyote. They're my people. They out of Australia, and they killing it. They killing it. And it's a lot of artists like that right now that are taken from the soul and they're kind of blending it with something different. It's something different now. but it's beauty in it.
Like vibey, and the sonic thing is different, and some of it's a little house, and some of it's a little electronic, and some of it's kind of straight ahead too. So it's just, I think it's a lovely thing.
Even
like
rappers, there's even rappers like Kindred. Kindred is like killing the game with like the live. You know, we bringing in Layla Hathaway on joints, and it's going crazy.
Oh, it is, most definitely. Well, we know that the people of Philadelphia are here, and they're here to hear from you, hear your stories, but they most definitely want to hear what you do, and how you do it.
What I do.
So we're going to ask the band to come on back up and join us for Dwele's selections for you guys.
Yes,
And we
indeed.
want to continue to wish you much success, brother, in
appreciate
everything that you continue to do and all of the music that you continue to put into the world. We appreciate you, we respect you, and we thank you for coming today, and we hope to have you back again in the near
Amen.
future.
Yeah, when
God
you
bless you,
finish that new
brother.
album-
From Detroit, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Dwele!
All right, all right, all right. She said, "Oh, babe." Hey, let me see them finger snaps, y'all. Come on. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, we've been together less than a week, but I swear it seems like 2 years at least. Whether face to face or over the phone, when I hear your voice, I'm right at home because you're so beautiful. Said more than a man could ever want, babe. Cameras will see if I'm being punked, yeah, yeah. Said ain't no sense in lying to you or to myself, yeah. Oh, I know it's early, I know it's soon, but truth be told, I think I love you, yeah. So yeah, say but yeah. It's the way you touch me, the way you look at me. Everything about you is so. You do your own thing, you got your own money. Everything about you is so damn, you're so, yeah. More than a man could ever want, hey. Cameras will see if I'm being punked, yeah. Said ain't no sense in lying to you or to myself, baby. Oh, I know it's so. Truth be told, I think I love you, yeah. So, said but yeah, yeah, yeah. So fast about anyone, said respect, yeah, yeah. I got it bad, babe. Said but it's a good thing. Oh yeah, I know it's so, yeah. Truth be told, I love you, yeah, yeah, yeah. But I love you, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I think I love you, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what's up, Philly. How y'all feel? Keep that finger snap going right there. Slow it down just a little bit. Yeah. I don't know what y'all do in Philly, but whenever I do this song in Detroit City, everybody gets up, they do this thing called the hustle. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what y'all do. I don't even know if y'all got space to do that here, but dance in your seats. Philly, I said dance in your seats. Come on. My band gonna help me out on this one. Come on. 1, 2, 3, hey. I come. Hey. Oh, yeah. Hey. I'm gonna make y'all get up. Come on. Yeah. Take the phone. It used to be, we would be the best of our friends. It turned to be L-O-V-E. I was your man, and you was my lady friends. My pants too tight for that. To be by your side through the ins and outs and wrongs and rights. After a while of being settled down, I didn't know how to keep the love, cause I was young. I wish I knew then what I know now, but would have let you go. I swear I would have made this love. I spent a lot of time and a lot of dough trying to match what we had, and now, come on.
I was hoping we could find a way to have what we had again today. Though it's been some time since you and I wouldn't hurt to try to find our love.
Come on. I wish that I would have known the treasures I found. I didn't know until you left. I loved your smile, babe. Just the other day, the girls said that you can't stand me. I know you don't mean that, can we? Just slow down a minute and talk it out. Now I've been through my share of love since then. I don't know about what you've been through, but nothing compares to what we had. All I know is I need you back, and I know that you need me back. Baby, let's try again to find our love. Come on. To have what we had again, yeah, yeah. Ha. Oh yeah, babe. It wouldn't hurt to try. Oh no, baby. Say I can't forget. Sometimes we said no. I said until love was gone, until I moved. Hey, oh. I said I was hoping we could find a way, yeah, to have what we had again, babe. Come on. Oh no, it wouldn't hurt to try to find our love, yeah. I was hoping we could find it, babe, to have what we had again, yeah. Hey. Oh no, it wouldn't hurt to try. Find out. Philadelphia, I thank you very much. Peace and much love, y'all. Thank you.
Dwele, ladies and gentlemen.
Motown Philly's back again.